Hope I'm on here real quick and I'll get started in just a minute. Let's see here. Nope. Okay. There we go. Coin link. Go ahead. Drop the link over here. Yeah, that. There you go. There's the link for the book I'm gonna be sampling today. Chapter 1. Concerning kobolds. In the whole ground in the ground there lives a kobold. This is not a fully furnished and tastefully decorated hole in the ground with all the modern appliances such as doors or walls. Rather, it was the made gap between two half-rotten tree roots that Flora had simply forgotten to fill in. It was not the sort of place that a cohort of adventurers might gather at the behest of a wise wizard to discuss where their grand quests might take them. They likely wouldn't even visited for the purpose of pest control, given it was much more economical to farm and fatten up rats to produce kobold tails, which they were requested to exchange for a quest reward. Now, when I told you that in this whole good of kobold, I may have been slightly underselling things. There was, at the lowest level, a bountiful feast of invertebrates for those with a taste for the crunchy things in life. Then slightly above that on the food chain, kobold. It should be said that kobolds are not generally known to be solitary creatures. The singular kobold tends to have the sort of life expectancy usually only when the creatures are awakened from a pond and frantically fornicate to produce the next generation before nature realizes she's forgotten the system with the necessary organs to eat. I'm sorry. The plural of kobold is kobolds. Singular is prey. They are born in vast litters of blind, fumbling plant pellets and seek to maintain that quantity of warm bodies spread around them throughout their lives, whether for their comfort in cold world or to serve as armor. Protection in numbers is taken to its natural extreme. What is a kobold? The answer to this question is not one I had often considered in my older life. To me, they were barely a footnote in the annals of history. But if you were to ask others, you may have come across a wide variety of answers. A farmer, for instance, will tell you that they are tantamount to a plague, eating anything that isn't nailed down. Which is not to say they weren't also tempted to eat anything that is nailed down, only that they have tend to live a successful so. If you were to ask one of the charming late-range people that make up a story of monstrous creatures, then you would be told that they are bipedal, much worse, which of course would mean absolutely nothing to anyone who's not submerged themselves so thoroughly in academia that they are liable to get dignified sickness if they ever make it. Return to reality. Perhaps the best person to ask would be those who are most familiar with creatures and creatures. If you were to ask an inventor what a kobold was, they would tell you half a copper each, both discounts apply. Observe, kobold. The blood sister saw had taken a rat and inflicted some unpleasant skin diseases upon it, brought it to the height of a dwarf, and then forced it to walk on its hind legs. Given the fussy cuteness with so many rodents, we should probably make some amendments to your middle picture. Strip away the fur and replace it with a kind of wrinkled skin that would make us Scrotum consider investing in a better skin. And there it is only a matter of deciding the aforementioned conditions and inflicting a smorgasbord of nervous ticks. All this, unfortunately, ignores the most kobold's most distinctive feature, its smell. You could use it to strip paint and clear sciences at a range of 15 feet. There are elements of decaying meat, spoiled milk, excrement, and more to be found. It's also important to note for clarity of your mental image that this is not a natural trait like a skunk would wield of its own defense. First of all, hygiene is something that happens to other people. With all this in mind, let's examine Archibald in particular. Currently lying sleeping amongst a heap of its kin. Most of its surface was caked in such a layer of dried humbug that it would require a fast moving river or chisel to discover its natural coloration. At present, it was making the most of its current fetal position to suck on the blunted end of its well-chewed tail. In the language of the kobolds, which is barely a language at all, this kobold was named Ig. We describe aggressively the areas of kobold that no one in their right mind would have interested in, and you might discover that Ig was a male kobold. If Ig were to discover this, it is unlikely that he would know what to do with that information. Like hygiene, matters of romance and procreation were entirely alien to the kobold kind. They tend to reproduce primarily through accidental collision while intending to find a more comfortable spot in the board heap to sleep. Just a second. What makes this kobold special? What is about him surrounded by all sides by equally grotesque specimens that draws our attention? Why is he the one bold in this entire whole that we care about in the slightest? Because he needs a bathroom. Were he to relieve himself of his capacity, and he would become more unpopular among those sleeping on the lower layers of the pile, though he would likely improve their cleanliness significantly. But is written that his couple of some dignity by the rock bottom standards of the bulls. He was not some freshly laid pink morsel. He was an adult, almost a year and a half old. When he needs a piss, would go outside and find a treat. So half asleep, and so absently gumming at his tail tip, he began to wriggle his way out, crossing my parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, sisters, and brothers, with several of those toads typically attached to each individual clothes in his journey towards the trickle of clover coming down from the forest above. He could not smell the freshness of the air, as his nose had shut down out of self-defense many hours ago, but he could feel the breeze. As he emerged from his hole in the ground, it was with no small amount of nervous energy. There were not many things in this world of ours that a kobold could not consider a predator. Owls, foxes, wolves, they'd all make a meal out of a kobold. A decent sized riot could likely give Ig a run for his money if it came to a straight up fight. Kobolds did have opposable thumbs, which allowed their hands to do many of the terrible things that humanity to do, and some have supposed that it is simply their luck will do harm that renders them so helpless. After closer examinations of old psyche, I can see that it's not some inherent benevolence, it's incompetence. There is no task in this universe so simple that a kobold cannot find some way to bugger it up. Case in point, after tentatively keeping from the skull on the ground, it scuttled through the dew-damp undergrowth to the underside of the river, squatted down, and urinated on his own fish. Cursing and grumbling, much as any living creature without a natural end can, he made his way past the other men and heaps of his people to the river where they fetched their drinking water and gave his feet a quick washing the showers under making sure that the vicious and well-fed pike that sometimes took the old ghost was no worry about. To those concerned about the fact that the kobold waste part was flowing directly into the drinking water, I can assure you there's a good reason the kobold's life expectancy is typically measured in days. It's a miracle they still exist, given how they intent they seem to be about wiping themselves out through sheer stupidity. After paddling his feet in the stream, it turned slowly to take in the world. Force was all that he had ever known of it. Safe as things got for kobolds, thanks to its great distance from civilization or anything of value that civilized people might want to fight over. This was a borderland, the outer edge of every map, the middle of nowhere. Nothing ever changed here. Nothing ever happened here. And that was for the best, because change did not bode well for kobolds. They might have been bizarrely resilient, capable of existing in almost any climate, but the one thing they were not resilient to was for other other monsters. Even the lowliest goblin could have come through and made these helpless creatures subservient to it. And from there it is always a short distance to ritual sacrifices to a cannon fodder. Neither of much neither of which did much to extend the already minuscule lifespan lookable. That something had changed. Something small enough that no one else would ever have seen it. But that someone who lived every moment of their life within a single square mile of their body little hole in the ground would notice despite having the attention span of a pair of chamberlains. There was something in the trees on the far side of the river. First, it did what naturally came to him, which was making a violent attempt at pissing himself again before realizing his bladder was already empty, and then running back as fast as possible back towards the muddy little hole in the ground. The bullets are not particularly fast, well known for their stamina, so he made about halfway back before becoming winded, at which point he flung himself face first into the long grass and remained as still as possible, stopping to catch his breath and also absently wondering whatever it was that he may have seen had already eaten it. After several minutes of shivering in terror and laying all the dry spring grass around him, rattling like a maraca, it slowly dawned upon Ig that he may not have been facing the fiery moments of his rather meager life. He emerged from the long grass that he had taken for shelter, most poking out to lead the way, and discovered to his immense surprise that nothing was in fact chasing him, and that this was the first time in his life that nothing was chasing him. This became something ashamed to eat. In his surprised condition, no influence made the decisions that followed after. His beady little eyes narrowed as he set his brain, such as it was, to the task of discovering what he had seen and why he was not currently being murdered. It's the harshest mental challenge that he had ever encountered. Attention head began to spread from somewhere between his eyes to encompass his entire. He scratched himself in a place that I should not mention and replied calmly, and then waddled back towards the river to see if he could spot whatever he assumed was planning to murder him. Both have the brain to prey, just as surely as they have bodies designed for much the same purpose, which is to say their intellect is a wire, cold and incredibly taut, ready to strum at the faintest brush of danger, sending them scrambling for safety. And the place where a thinking creature might have those parts of the brain reserved for art, poetry, and culture. The world had a fight or flight instinct that would put the twitchiest vole to shame. It robs them of any ability to concentrate, as their attention is constantly divided between a million little noises that just might be threats. It robs them of the ability to think with any acuity, because thinking big thoughts takes a long time. Very long time when you're just on it. Actually, the lunch on three of us a split seconds. Met by River, which he once again dutifully checked for the rescue pike. It wandered over to the far side to see what he could see. It was not quite the farthest he had ever gone from the hole he called home. Anna went to the patch of mushrooms that his siblings discovered to the south, and consumed in one long, orgastic afternoon of bizarre hallucinations. Visions which, that for Egg, involved an unknown creature that he would later learn in his life was an aardvark. But it was still farther than he really felt comfortable traveling. Yet there was a siren call to the flesh color that he had seen in the otherwise drab woods. Gray and brown were the predominant colors here, even at the height of summer. Even Egg and his siblings tend toward gray and brown from lichen and mud. He sees something that was not only blue, but a rich royal blue was enough to make the few hairs that grew on the back of his neck stand on end. Excitement was not an emotion that was familiar to Egg. He knew hungry, he knew itchy, he knew afraid. He was very familiar with afraid. In fact, some might say it was his primary state of being, with all others only occasionally passing through. But excitement, that was as alien as flush of blues in the drab of the woods. Overwhelmed with excitement, it did something that hitherto, to this point, he most likely would have considered to be outrageously bold. Something that neither he nor any right thinking couple could ever attempt. He opened his mouth and squeaked. Mm. It was a tiny sound, light as the faintest flirtation of a grasshopper and twice as shrill. A sound that anyone else would have been utterly remarkable, and that here in the forest even would have been unremarkable but for the fact it came from the mouth of a kobold. Nobody answered him, not even the leaf in the tree. It still hadn't moved, still hadn't made a sound of its own. If it were some hook ambushed predator and bats wits with it clearly had him outclassed. If it were a plant he was unfamiliar with, in all honesty, it still would have probably have him outclassed in wits, yet he could not resist it. even though his whole body, prickled with barely contained terror. He came closer and closer to the tree, to the broken off branch, to the faint hand there on the broken off branch. Some sort of circle with a triangle protruding out the middle of it. A flame completely unfamiliar to his gaze, what your idea reader would know as a hat. And what a hat it was! Such fire had never been seen in these desolate lands. It was a rich royal blue, as deep as the fiercest of oceans or the calmest of night skies. The embroidery upon it was a matchwork of golden thread, outlining the position of the stars to those with the knowledge to decipher its glyphs. In all the world there was never, and there shall never be a more attractive and well decorated put hat than that very hat that Igvan hanging from the branch of the tree. He threw a pine cone at it. The pine cone missed. Maybe it may not have been its forte, but when he lacked in strength or or eye hand coordination, he more than made up with being willing to do the same thankless task over and over again without pause. Nor was he missing pine cones. The forest floors glittered with them, not to mention a fair few of his missed foes provided by across the tree to land by his feet and be thrown all over again. So passed a goodly portion of its morning. He found something rare and beautiful in his little slice of world, and fully intended to poke it with a pine cone if it was the last thing he did. Fear that might be the last thing that he did. Then, of course, creeping the egg as he stood there tossing cones. His mind, ever in a turmoil, heard the echoes of his cones following his approaching footsteps. Every creak of the trees was a bow being drawn back. Every twig snapping was a colossal carnivore connivingly creeping closer. Yet still he persisted, because he was brave, but because it hadn't quite occurred to him yet that he might have been safe were he not seen out in the open throwing pine cones around. He was not considered to be the most intelligent of Kobold's best kids, but in the grand ranking of things came down from the oldest mother ant, who knew which mushrooms were safe to eat, vaguely, all the way down to the tiny moving pink things that dropped out of them every so often and grew into kobolds. Its intellect would probably be placed somewhere between the dry moss that they sometimes slip on and the mud it was used to protect them from. All which is to say, he's not the brightest boys, even for a kobold. Despite this failing and a multitude more, there is something to be said for persistence. Though the task was clearly beyond him, though he lacked the skills and capabilities required to complete it, through every moment attempting to complete it put him in ever greater danger of being set upon by one of the myriad creatures of force that might him harm. It persisted in throwing his pine cones until finally, surprising him as much as anyone else, one hit home. The rim where it was struck bent a little out of shape. The silk line where it was hooked on the bark suffered a minute tear to its stitching, but most importantly of all, the feeble throw of his tiny little arms managed to dislodge the hat from the branch from which he had been hanging for an indeterminate amount of length of time. Dashing forward, he snatched his prize up in his grubby little hands. Delighted and excited and staying rather fine blue fat hands that had dug both mud and river recently, he spun around holding half, as though to show off his prize to all who gathered, realized he was alone, and let out a deflated sigh. Then finally, He turned his full and undivided attention to the hat. For half a second, the whole half a second, that he's actually capable of maintaining attention. He looked at it and thought it was beautiful and wonderful and strange. Then he heard a bird and some distant ball drop a twig, and he was off scampering back towards the river and the hole beyond. The hat dangled in its grip, flapping in the wind as he put on a brief turn of speed. He became bedraggled and sodden as he crossed through the river, forgetting it was in his hand, and paying more attention to the possibility of flight. He was, in fact, almost all the way back to his little den in the middle of absolutely nowhere when he seemed to realize that he was safe and sound and had something in his hand. He won the water from the hat, mangling it more than a little, and rearranging the cosmos as his ride in the embroidering to toss it again impossible of the waves before flopping in from himself a few times, trying to straighten it out. The hat will never quite be the same again after this treatment, but when a grudge against creatures that aren't intending to save it seems something of a waste of time. Regardless, it seemed that some single rain sound instead was sparkling. Saint single surprise shrunk and skull. The same joke that every living being with head has ever made when confronted with some thing that looks like it might fit on his head. He lifted his hat and placed it on it. Finally. I don't think I'm gonna read chapter two. But here's what I will do. Um, yeah, unfortunately, I'm a Okay.
In your dreams, magical thoughts, all things are real unless you dream they're not. In your dreams, love is the plot, carried on wings of hope. Each of our souls intertwine when we do. Instantly we see it, the time to grow and be it, when everything is pinned on a hope. Let's rise the dreams of your heart, that innocent youth, careless and kind, free to roam the breeze in love, only when two brilliantly shine as
I don't remember when it started exactly, but the dream of having a fantastic adventure in far off places grabbed my heart early and has yet to let go. You see, my hero is Dragon Master Dyne. Outside my village, there's a monument made in his honor. His adventures were the most fantastic of all, fighting evil, risking death, protecting the goddess Althena. It's all so exciting. One day, I want to have adventures like that. But the excitement of that kind is a long way from Berg.
Alex! Oh, Alex! Where are you?
Oh, hey there, Null.
Alex, couldn't you hear me? I've been flying around calling your name for the past half hour looking for you. I should have known I'd find you here.
Where else would I be?
In honor of the great Dragon Master, Dyne. I'm aware that Dyne was likely the greatest and most well-known member of the Four Heroes, Alex, but I'm honestly amazed you never get tired of coming to stare at his dome monument. Shoot, I just remembered that we need to meet with Luna to practice singing, and we better hurry because we both know she'll be upset if we're late.
Hey, Alex! I figured you'd be here. Now that the weather's gotten warm enough to melt the ice around the Dragon's Cave, there's no time for us to waste getting started on our big adventure. If we hurry, we can sneak in without waking the dragon. And then, if we're fast enough, maybe we could find a giant diamond from its lair with thousands of silver that'll make us filthy rich and more famous than we could ever dream of.
Or could also kill you. Good question.
Alex. I should have known you'd be late again. Let me guess, you were whittling away the morning at Dine's monument. Or were you planning more silly adventures with Ramus?
Both, I guess.
La 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 la. 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 In your dreams, magical thoughts, all things.
I don't remember when it started exactly, but the dream of having a fantastic adventure in far off places grabbed my heart early and has yet to let go. You see, my hero is Dragon Master Dyne. Outside my village, there's a monument made in his honor. His adventures were the most fantastic of all, fighting evil, risking death, protecting the goddess Althena. It's all so exciting. One day, I want to have adventures like that. But excitement of that kind is a long way from Berg.
Alex! Oh, Alex! Where are you?
Oh, hey there. Yeah!